So my name is Dominique. I'm a mobile developer at Inventive. I've done a bachelor in computer science at Université de Montréal. And right now I'm working on Flutter mobile apps. So today we're going to do a little demo of how to write a cross-platform application in Flutter. Okay. So first, I have here the QR code to my repository for the code that I'm going to use today. This will be a live coding presentation, but if you want to follow along, if you have your laptop or anything, you should be able to follow. Okay, so what are we going to do today? We're going to see what is Flutter, why use Flutter, what we're going to do today, and after that, we're going to code. What is Flutter? Okay, so directly from flutter.dev. Flutter is an open source framework by Google. It is based on the language Dart, also by Google. It's for building beautiful, natively compiled multi-platform applications from a single code base. So what that means is you will want to use Flutter to build cross-platform applications. With a single code base, you can do apps on mobile, so for Android, iOS, on web, on desktop for Windows, macOS, and Linux. You also want to use Flutter because it has a really fast development with hot reload. That's actually my favorite thing about Flutter is you just hit save and all the changes that you've done will apply. It takes only a second and you will see it. It's magical. It has expressive and flexible UI, so there's really not much you can't do with Flutter. Everything is just by default quite pretty, and you just need to modify it to your taste. It has native performance, so it will compile to native code, like Java on Android, Swift on iOS, and everything like that. So it's quite fast. And it has a strong community and support. Talking about this, we have present in the room Flutter Montreal organizers here. I have the QR code for the Flutter Montreal Discord if you want to scan it. They do a Flutter meetup every month. I think the next one is at Google office on the Davidson office? Okay, Davidson office at the Old Port. It's on the April 17th. So what are we going to do today? We're going to do a little quiz app. We're going to see buttons, images, futures, which is the for asynchronous code. And if we have time, we're going to look at how to use packages to create launcher icons. So this is what we're going to do today. Okay, we're going to have a little app called What You Thinking. I'm very proud of that pun. This is my cat, by the way. His name is Hafiki. And for each picture, we're going to have to answer if he's mad or happy on the picture. So we have the two buttons there. If he's happy, which he is apparently not, then if the answer is wrong, we're going to have the button displayed in red. If the answer is right, we're going to have it displayed in green. And after that, we're going to display our score on another screen. Okay, so let's code. No questions, not now. But you can ask questions at any time during the presentation, okay? So I have here, this is my cell phone, okay? And when you want to create a Flutter app, all you need to do is, basically, you're going to have to do a Flutter create and then the name of the app. And this command will create all of this that you have here. So this is the folder structure that will be created when you do a Flutter create. I'm going to run this, and then I will explain what it does. Okay, so what we have as folders, we have basically a folder for every platform, Android, iOS, we have a folder for Windows and everything. But what interests us is the lib folder with the main.dart file. This is where the code is. Okay, I've already added, wrong platform. My bad. But I've just launched it on Chrome, so it's multi-platform, right? Okay, this is now going to launch on my, device. Okay, so, okay, so, 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 The code is in the main.dart file. And this is a live coding presentation, but I'm actually going to use a tool to help me. It's called Code Fragments. It's basically just fast copy-paste options that I've already prepared. Okay, so this is the default app that you have when you run a Flutter create. You have a little button here, and it counts the number of times that you will push the button. But this is not the app that we're doing right now. We're going to start from this and then work our way to the quiz app. So I'm going to delete main, and I'm going to paste this. This is basically the same thing that was there, but without all the comments. Okay, I've done nothing there. And I'm going to change the title here. I'm going to change it to What You're Thinking. No, I've just pressed save, and now you can see that the title has changed. It's as simple as that. All my changes are saved. And actually, does someone want to choose the color theme for the app? What the from seed does is that you choose a color, and then it will create an entire theme for you from scratch. So what color do you want? Okay, let's just take, I think there's blue. What does it look like? Not quite my hair, but good enough, all right? Perfect. So you can see I really just hit save, takes less than 1 second, and you can already see the changes. Okay, so now what we have here, we have the main method. This is where it all starts. You will run the app, and here you have the material app. This is the root of your UI, let's say. And here on my home, I have my home page, which is right there. It is a stateful widget, so basically everything in Flutter are widgets. You have a stateful and a stateless Flutter. I will explain the difference later in the presentation. But I will change the name to quiz screen. And I will put it in another file. Okay. So since the widget is in 2 parts, because it is a stateful widget, I need to remove that part myself. All right. So again, we've done nothing right now. All we've done is change the title and the color. Okay. And now for quiz screen, I will also just declutter it, okay? So the only thing I've basically done here is replace what was in it with an empty container. So when I push save, the page is going to be blank. All right, so I've removed everything that was already there except for the title. And now I'm going to replace it with my own code. Okay. So what do we have here? We have a column here with a row and a container. So columns and rows are the basics of a Flutter UI. Okay, you're always going to use columns and rows. Containers also are very useful. So here in my column, I have one container, which is the gray square, and I have one row, which contains itself 2 filled buttons. So I have one button that says happy and one button that says mad. And since my methods are empty, they won't do anything for now. Okay, I can click on them and they're going to react, but it won't do anything. So I just wanted to show you the basic UI, but now we're going to add an image instead of a gray container because my cat is much more pretty. Okay, so here we have an image asset. This is the basic way to put an image in your app. You just have the path to the image right there. You can also use a URL if you want. And here it's the fit. I want the image to cover all of the space that I've given it, so it's going to adapt for that. Okay, so I want to make some changes. I am no designer, but having that out of the way, I can make the app as ugly as I want. So I want to add a little space between the buttons, and I also want to add a little space under the image. So I'm going to use a size box with a width. A size box is a basic widget that you can use if you want to have a predetermined space in between other components. I'm going to add a width of 16, and here I have a blue squiggly lines. That's because it wants me to add the const word here so that it has better performance, because I already know that it's going to be a size box with a width of 16, so it's not going to change. Therefore, it can kind of lock it into place and improve the performance. I'm going to do the same thing under the image, but this time with a height instead of a width, and with a height of 24. Okay, so now my buttons have a little bit of space, but I wanted to take on the entire screen. So what I'm going to do for that is I'm going to wrap each button and the image into an expanded widget. There are some neat little shortcuts in the Flutter environment on VS Code. It's very nice. So I can just wrap with widget, expanded, and I can make the same thing here. And I'm going to, well, let's just show you what it does to the buttons. Now they take the whole space. So it's quite nice if, just like one single widget can really greatly improve your UI. I'm going to do the same with the image. That way it's going to take the whole space from top to bottom. Perfect. Okay, but now I want to add a little padding around, so it's just less cumbersome. What I will do, I will take the whole column, and I'm going to wrap it again with, this time, a padding. This one is used very often, so it's already there. You already have a right on hand. And I'm going to use a padding of 16. I could also just have a padding like let's just say only on the right with a padding of 15, I don't know. So it's very easy to just change. But yeah, let's just take a whole padding for all the contour. Okay, and now I want my image to have rounded corners. It's fancier. Here I'm going to delete my image and just use this instead. So what I've basically done here is I've added a clipart rect around my image with a border radius of 20. Okay, so we have our first screen is done. So now we can focus on the question management. So when we click on a button, we want the image to change. So right here, okay, I have a dummy database of my answers, which is basically an array. And I have two types of emotion, as I've said before. My cat is either mad or happy. There's nothing else. And these are not the real answers, right? I don't want to spoil the fun. And I'm going to put what I've already done here in another file. So I will refactor it again. This time I will extract the widget and I will call it question. Right? So here it's very clean, and I just moved it in its own widget. And now I'm going to move it to its own file. And question right there. But right now it is a stateless widget. I want to make it a stateful widget. So a stateless widget is something that won't change, all right? I can change it inside of itself. I would either need to rebuild it with new values, or I can just plainly refactor it and convert to a stateful widget. Perfect. Now that way, I can change stuff inside of the UI, and it will rebuild automatically. Okay. Okay. I have my answers that were in the quiz screen right there. Now we need to import the answers that were in my quiz screen. So that way it knows where to find it. And what do I have here? I have a counter, and I have an increment counter method. So the counter will just really change the image every time I click on a button, and the increment counter will do that. I increment the counter here, and if we just want to make sure that we don't, overflow the array, so we don't have any errors. But I don't want to spoil the fun, so I won't really change the images right now. Instead, I'm just going to print the counter to show you that the counter really has changed. Because here, I could put counter, and then it would change the image every time. Okay. In fact, let's try it, but not too much. Okay, so here, in my buttons, I will finally use my method, which is increment counter. I will do the same in the other button. And right now, if I click on a button, it will change the image. But I'm going to put it back to 0 here, so that you won't see the image. But I will show you here in my debug console. I'm going to start it back from the beginning with a hot restarting. Okay, so my counter does increase, as you can see. The image would change. But right now my array is only, I only have 4 items in my array, so it does counter 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so what do I do right now? Also, I'm going to, in my column, I will add one parameter here, which is, I will add a stretch parameter because on the width size, if my image is smaller than the width of my screen, it won't expand. So I want to add a stretch to make sure that the column will take the whole width of the screen. Okay, now I want to add some color feedback. I want that if I click on the wrong answer, it shows red. If I click on the right answer, it shows green. Okay, so here I have added quite a lot of stuff. What do we have? I have a color variable, which is happy button color and mad button color, because we're going to change them separately. We need to be able to control them separately. I have added a select answer method that when I press on the happy button, it's going to send the happy emotion as an answer. I have to check if it's the right answer, so I'm going in my array to compare it, to see if it's the right answer. I'm going to set the button color right there with the emotion I've chosen. And is it the right answer? If it's the right answer, I'm going to show the color green. If it's wrong, I'm going to show the color red. And I need to set this for the right button. I don't want both buttons to change color, just the one I've chosen. And after that, I reset my button color. So the button that I've clicked on will have a null color. Why do I set it to null? I set it to null because since we have a set theme for the color, setting it to null will revert it to the default value. So it will be blue like this, the default value, because we have created a color scheme. And after resetting the button color, we increment the counter to change the image. In this case, to print it there in the console. Okay, so let's save this. Let's try it. Doesn't work. Why won't it work? Okay, so the reason why it doesn't work is that there's no delay in between setting the red or green color and resetting it. So it basically does it in the same fraction of seconds, so we can see it. The thing we need to do for that is adding a future.delayed. In fact, I have it right there. Oh, also I forgot something first, but I spoiled it. So I need to set my onPress method to select answer. And I also added a style. So filled button already have a default style, but I wanted to have the background color that I chose for it. I'm going to do the same thing with the happy button. Right. So when I press on the button, I'm calling the select answer method with the happy emotion. And it should change the button color, but not as I've just spoiled my moment there. It won't change. Okay. So here I'm adding my future.delayed. This is how we're using asynchronous in Flutter. We have the await here, but now it's red because, oh no, my method doesn't say that it's an asynchronous method. So I need to add async there. And I also need, well, I don't need, but it's best practices to also state that your return value will be a future to tell that it will be asynchronous. I will also do the same in the onPress method. I will await it here and async. All right. So now, is he mad? No, he's happy. He's in a box. So of course he's happy. The image won't change, but the counter still increases. Here I made happy and everything. Okay, so we can see that the button colors work. They can change color. But now I want to show the score. I want to know if I've done all the right answers. So I'm going to go back in the quiz screen. And now I'm going to show the score screen. Okay, so I've added it all at the same time, but I'm going to explain it a bit. It's quite similar to the last screen that we had. So I have a padding here. You can see at the bottom of the button that we still have a padding around it. I've added a center, which is just to center what I have inside of the center itself. So it's going to center it across the device. I have a column, just like in the last screen. And also I have the stretch, just like before. I have expanded here that we've already seen. But what's different now is that I have a column inside a column. Okay, why do I want to do that? I want to do that because I've bundled all my 3 text blocks, the all done, your score, and correct answers, in the same column. And I have the button here. I want it to be at the bottom. So that's why I'm going to have the column here in an expanded, so that the expanded here takes all of the space until the button is pushed down to the bottom. And here I have my field button with an empty onPress method, so it won't do anything for now. And with the text, start over. What do I have in my second column? I have the three texts. I have the all done, your score, and the correct answers. Right now, the correct answer is just hard-coded right there. It's just plain text. But eventually, we're going to show the number of correct answers that we've had. Okay, so I'm going to, again, extract this widget. This time it will be named score. And I will again move it to its own file. Okay. Okay. So what did I add here? Here, the difference between what I've just had before is I've added a variable showScore and this will tell us if we want to show the question screen with my cat on it, or the score screen which will have the latest result. Okay, so we have a showScore method that will indicate that we set the value when we want to show the score screen. And here in my UI, I use this variable that I had right there to say, oh, do we want to show the score widget? Yeah, okay, we're going to show the score. And if not, we're going to show questions. But how will we trigger show score? Okay, we're going to do that from inside another widget. So we need to pass it down that widget because I have my number of correct answers in my question. And after that, I need to pass it to the score widget. But they're like on the same level, so I need to go up and then down. So what I will do is that in question, I'm going to replace my constructor. Here, that's a constructor. Right there. So now I've passed to my widget a function, which is showScore. And I'm going to use it in my increment counter. Okay, so what I've changed here is basically now I have, if I'm done with all my questions, with all my images, I will call the showScore method that is defined above in my quiz screen. All right, but I need to tell question, oh, I'm going to pass you the showScore method. So here, showScore, and I will use that. Yeah. Okay, so I've just passed down a function to another widget, which is quite nice. Okay, let's see if it works. Okay, remember I have 4 answers here in my array. So I'm at 0, 1, 2, 3, and now I'm supposed to be at the other widget. But not because I've had hand on. Oh, no, I think I've forgotten to add something. Okay, yeah, you were right. I needed to hot restart the app. Okay, So I've gone through all my answers, and now I'm showing the score screen. But now I want to show the correct number of answers right there. So we're going to need, again, to increment the counter of correct answers and then pass it down to the score widget. So we're again going to have to go up and then down into the other widget. So here in my quiz screen, I've added another variable, which is correct answers. And I have a method to increment the number of correct answers. So here in my score, I will, again, change my constructor here. And right now, I can receive the number of correct answers that will be passed down from the quiz screen. I will use correct answers here in my text that was there. I only have to add this here. So right now, it's becoming a variable. But once again, I need to pass it down to score. Correct answers. Now I'm using this variable. Okay, so I'm at 0, nice. Okay, so he's mad, 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 mad. I've had 0 correct answers. But I also need, in my question, I need to, once again, change the constructor with another one. Okay, I haven't really changed it. The only thing I did is add another method. Here it is. I'm using the function increment correct answers that was defined here. Okay, so just like before, I want to call it in my question widget, which will be right there. Okay, so if I've selected the right answer, I want to call the increment correct answer method right there. And I need to pass it down, once again, into my question widget. Increment correct answer, which is this method right there. Okay, so now I will hard restart again. So here I have the answers, which is right, wrong, right, wrong. And now I've done 2 right answers out of 4 questions. So the increment correct answers works, and now I can show the correct score in my score screen. Okay, but right now I want to start over. I want this button right there to work, so I can begin the quiz once again. So I will go in my score screen. I will, for the last time, change the constructor. Did that. On start over. So now I can use the on start over method. I can use it here in my on pressed. On start over right there. Okay, but I need again to pass it down from the quiz screen. And in my quiz screen, here, I'm going to add a method on start over. Okay, so it basically just sets the show score widget to false so that we come back to the first widget that we've created, the question widget, and the number of correct answers to 0.
I have a question. Why do you have to pass it from the other screen if the start over button belongs to the second widget?
Because it's my quiz screen that's managing what screen is shown.
Okay.
So it's my quiz screen that will say, oh, what screen do you want to show? So that's why they have to talk to each other like that.
Yeah. So each screen is a widget, or the widget is the whole application?
Both. Yes. Okay. So the application itself is a widget, and what you use inside it is almost always widgets themselves.
Then how is the context for the widget delimited?
because of the build method right there. This is a method that's inside every widget. So that's how it talks to say, oh, I have something that's changed in the UI, so I'm going to retrigger the build method. They have some, dark magic stuff that's done so that it's really performant. So they won't really rebuild everything that's in it. They're just going to show, oh, this tiny thing has changed, so I will change this tiny thing. And this is how they rebuild it in Flutter. So I need to add the start over method to the score widget. I can also, if I don't know what is the name of the parameter that I need to use, I can just Control space, and this is what's available for me. I have on start over, and I have a key parameter as well. This is for every widget. It's always there. So I have on start over, and here I'm using my start over method. Okay. So start over should work. Perfect. Now I also have 2 out of 4 start over, and that's it. We basically have the whole application right there. So we can start the fun. We can go here. I'm going to remove this and hide it so that you don't see all of the answers. Perfect. And in my question here, I've removed it before, but now we can see the counter incrementing in the image itself so that it will change the image. Okay, so I'm just going to not this. Wait, oh, okay. Wait a second. Okay, my windows are fine. Okay, so now I can restart it, and we can start to play. Okay, so what emotion is he there? I think he's happy, right? Okay, right there. Mad. He's sleeping, right? He's not conscious, so therefore he's happy. In a box equals happy, but let's just say he's mad because, he's a cat. We don't, looks very mad to me. I'm touching him, so he's mad. Definitely mad. Oh yeah, that's quite a nice context. I'm dyeing my hair, and while waiting, my boyfriend says, "Oh, you need to trim his nails." So okay, let's do this. This is always his face first when I touch him or when I trim his nails. So let's just say he's super happy right there. In a box, he's happy. I'm touching him. Not very happy there. And now I've just washed him, so he's very mad. All right, so we have 8 out of 10 answers. Okay. We actually have, do we have a little bit of time remaining? 10 minutes? All right, okay. So I'm going to show you what it looks like on Chrome so that you can see it on another platform. Let's just stop it right there. And here I'm going to change the platform. Let's choose Chrome and run it again. It takes about a minute to build from scratch. Yeah, from scratch. And after that, as you have seen, when you want to hot reload, it only takes a second. Wow. Okay. So it runs on multiple platforms. That doesn't mean that it will be instantly pretty on every platform. Okay. So what we can do about this is, well, let's just constrain the width a bit so that it shows in the whole screen. The whole image shows in the screen. So what I'm going to do for that, I'm going to wrap my column with a constraint box. And here I need to add a constraint, as you can see. And I will use custom constraints. So I will use the constructor itself with well, now you can see it proposes me what I can use. So I will use the max width that is by default set to infinity, but I will constrain it to 600. And blue squiggly line, const, because I've set it already a defined argument. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing also in the score screen. And I'm lazy, I'm just gonna copy paste it. All right. Now you can see I've saved it, but you couldn't see it because it's not beside. So it has a max width of 600. Let's say I want to center it as well. So if you have noticed, I have a center here in my score screen, but I don't have it in my question screen. So I'm going to do that. And since it's a popular widget, I have it right there. Okay, now it's centered. And I can just, play with it, resize it, and it's always going to follow. Okay, so it's a little bit better. Right now I can see the image a bit better. And that's about it. Do you have any question? Yeah?
So it's the first time I've seen Flutter live. My question is, what I have noticed is that all of the components are used behind the scene are material UI. Is there a way to replace them with another component package or anything like that? Because for an MVP, this is great, but sometimes companies have different expectations.
I think you can use a different thing than Material UI. Right now, the default is to use Material 3, but I'm pretty sure you can, as he confirms, I'm pretty sure you can use something else. Yeah. Yes?
So first of all, your cat is really cute.
Thanks. That was the goal of the presentation, have lots of compliments.
So it looks like a really modern, it's so impressive how the way that you can just kind of add things super quickly. My question would be, what is kind of a really big downside that you see working with this, and then how do you get around it with Flutter?
Well, one downside that I've seen personally in my work is, let's just use this. Well, I would need to rerun it on my device because since I've run it only once at the beginning of the demo, it hasn't compiled everything that I've done since, so I need to rerun it from scratch. Well, probably downside number one. The other thing, I've had some trouble in my work with different displays for the format. Let's say I have a pretty small device and I want to center it in my device. And I want it to be centered also on big device. So let's say I have something that on a small device will take a lot more than the screen, but in a big device it will be big enough so that the text can be, let's say, centered in the center of the page. But if I'm going on a smaller device, I want the text to be scrollable because I want to see it completely. So this is something that I've had trouble with in my work, is that I could manually calculate the height that the text will have because I have a line height on my text and everything. I could calculate that, with the width of the screen. So how much height will it take? But let's say you have multiple languages on your app. I could know if the app is in French, in German. I bet it's going to take a lot more space in German than in English. So it's quite hard to know, okay, so if I have a small device and it's, let's say in German, I want to have a scroll screen. But if I want to have, if I have a big device and it's in English, then it's not going to take the whole space. So I want to center it. So this is trouble that I've had in my work. Workaround basically without adding a bunch of calculations just for that was that basically just changing the UI so that you can have the buttons at the bottom of your screen and a scroll widget at the top for the text. So this is basically the only downside that I've seen, but again, maybe it would have happened in another framework or not. Okay. Yes?
Did you see any compatibility issues because you have like the same source code being used for like Android, iOS, and web? Did you have any experience with you have like the code working smoothly on one platform, but you cannot get it to work?
Yeah, this happens. Like at my work, we're mostly doing mobile apps, but we said, hey, what would the app look like on web? But it wasn't designed from the start to be on both mobile and web. So we've done all the app in mobile, and when we went to transfer it or to try it for the web, we ran into some problems with a few packages. There are some packages that need special implementation per platform. This is the case. This is for launcher icons and for splash screen. This would be the case, as in you need to run special commands so that it can build objects per platform. Okay, but let's say you haven't done any of the requirements for that platform, then it's possible that your app won't run from the start on that other platform. So you will need to go through the code and say, did I do the requirements for installing this package? Normally, packages are very simple to use. You just run a command, which would be like Flutter pub get and then name of package. So, and after that, it will install it in the pubspec.yaml file. So here I have nothing installed, but after running that command, it will write automatically in this file to say, now you have access to this package and you can use it right away. But some packages are quite complicated in the sense that they need more installing process for it. So this is a case that would need special implementation per platform. That's it. Yes?
Would you, in Flutter, do you know if they support accessibility attributes right after that?
Yes, there are a lot. I haven't used any of it myself, but I can see for every package you have support, I think, for screen readers. And if I'm not mistaken, for the color scheme that we've seen at the start in the main, this is using like accessible colors. It will create the tones so that it can be easily readable. Yes? On time? Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
we can take some more questions. We have lunch ready. And are you sticking around if you have any questions?
Yes, I'm going to be here all day.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.